or anyone, they all pulled their advertising on Facebook in support of Stop the Hate for Profit movement. I love these corporations. I mean, I admire them so much. I mean, suspend your advertising and go out of your way to support such an amazing cause that you care about so much. Man, the hypocrisy here, it's fucking awesome. All right, let's start with Coca-Cola. Coca-Cola. Not only you sell one of the most unhealthy products on the planet, that leads directly to diabetes, but here's a company that has a very long history of having racial discrimination at their company. Paid over $200 million to settle racial discrimination suits dating back to 2000. They're also getting sued right now for lying about its recycling process. But hey, let's drop Facebook. Throw them under the bus. No more advertising. Need to stop the hate. You have Clorox, who settled a lawsuit because it was only filling their bottles at 80% capacity. So a company that intentionally deceived its customers. Also settled a lawsuit with the EPA since it lied about one of its disinfectants it's used in hospitals. Studies found out that the product didn't disinfect anything. But hey, Clorox, you throw Facebook under the bus. We're supporting this movement. And we're doing it publicly. We want to make a public statement that we're doing this because we're not doing it for ourselves. We want the whole world to know that we're doing it. Pfizer, you got to be kidding me, Pfizer. I mean, Pfizer dropping Facebook. It's kind of like me getting mad at someone for cursing. They're ranked last among the top 17 drug makers for reputation, who agreed to settle cases over illegal marketing and healthcare fraud. Healthcare fraud, right? Who in 1996 conducted an unapproved clinical trial for his drug Trovan. And that was on over 200 children with meningitis. And of course, they did this in Nigeria, right? They don't know what to find out. Where 11 kids died and dozens more were left disabled. Way to go, Pfizer, right? Stop the hate movement. Hashtag. There you go. Verizon, who paid $4 million to settle claims that a third-party debt collector made robocalls on Verizon's behalf to people who are not even Verizon customers. They pay $4 million. They probably made over $20 million doing that. But hey, you got to pay $4 million. They're okay. They're cool. They're a great company. Settled lawsuits for deceptive billing practices, charging its customers for in-network minutes that were meant to be free. Also settled with the FCC and again, fraud, that word fraud case, where Verizon received excess payments. This is great. From a subsidized program that allowed internet access to schools and libraries. They took advantage of that to make money. And they paid a lawsuit, not a problem, because all these lawsuits, as you know, they make a lot more money off these lawsuits than they have to pay. It happens all the time. It happens in Wall Street especially. And then we have the king, which is Microsoft. I mean, holy shit, Microsoft. That tracks information on every person that uses any of their products, right? Office, Xbox, all the computers with Windows. Biggest invasion of privacy ever. And you try buying a computer with Windows, which is most of you, right? Most people use Windows. Not really Mac Safari, but most use Windows. But go through the start process of setting up your computer and do yourself a huge favor. Please read everything. Don't just click yes because you're so excited you bought that new laptop and you want to get it to work right away. Just go through it. You're going to see things like file sharing updates, right? These are the default options, right? The default. These are the default. So if you don't change them, these are the options. The file sharing updates with third parties, notifications all the time. You have that smart ad menu come up all the time, targeting ads from third-party apps for your browsing activity. And Microsoft will even give you a unique advertising ID. It says it there. You don't know that. This ID, those third parties could identify you with, especially with apps from the Windows Store. All this stuff is turned on when you buy the computer. You have to shut this off. Isn't that amazing? Cortana, setting that up, getting to know you, collecting information, speech, handwriting patterns, typing history. That's not creepy. You got to shut this stuff off, right? You're required in that stuff when you get a new computer, you have to click off, off, off. So the default is all this stuff is on. They're going to share everything with everyone. That's Microsoft for you. But hey, throwing Facebook on, like, stopping advertising, stop the hate movement. I mean, you have to be kidding me what's going on and with these companies. And it's always got to be public. Like, they have to make sure they let everyone know, right? The CNBCs and the ABC, everybody just, hey, this is what we're doing. We have to let everybody know. They're not just doing the right thing, right? It's like someone that a famous athlete that, visits sick children and brings a camera with them. This way they can take pictures to show, oh, how great of a guy I really am. Or like the person on Facebook that always has to write about how their spouse is the most amazing person, which is usually going to lead to, divorce within, I think, a time frame on average, probably 3 months. If you really need to tell the whole entire world on Facebook or social media how great your partner is and how much you love them, it usually means you're getting divorced pretty soon. And then you have Ben and Jerry's, who have no idea why they're doing this. They're on this list. I mean, seriously, Ben and Jerry's, you're not going to get any points from suspending ads on Facebook other than lose tons of revenue. I mean, nobody's like, hey, I'm buying Ben and Jerry's ice cream from now on since they're boycotting Facebook. No, why? Why even make that announcement? Ben and Jerry's, give me a break. Seriously, these companies are a complete joke. I mean, everything is fake out there these days. It's disgusting. If you really want to do something meaningful, if you really care, right? If you really care and want to support a cause, why don't you get back all the money you made through advertising on Facebook and donate those billions and billions of dollars to stop the hate movement? That would be pretty cool. Take it much more seriously, much more sincere. That ain't happening anytime soon. You know as well as I do, right? Corporations need their profits. That's the way they do it. But we're in a world that's so reactionary. And like right now, I mean, Black people must be looking at the world and saying, what the F? You got to be kidding me. And here, we have a massive movement, everyone coming together, bringing awareness to racial injustice with the hopes of ending racial discrimination, respecting one another. Every American needs to be treated the same. All great things, right? All great things, and so many of us support in America. But now it's like super over the top. You have companies, the public statements, the media companies, holding special magazines, are putting Black people on their covers, and all the talk shows are not just, talking about racial injustice every day, but the hosts are wearing like Black Lives Matter shirts, right? ESPN, every interview, racial injustice. Nickelodeon hosted a racism special educating our kids on how Black Lives Matter, but it was like just an over-the-top massive event with celebrities. And what's next? A Black SpongeBob SquarePants? I mean, to really throw it in your face? But Black people have to be like, really? I mean, most of you, all of you, so many of you didn't support this at all 3 months ago, right? Pre-George Floyd. And yes, the world needs to be aware of what's going on, and this is a great event, not to the point where so many companies and media are intentionally making it sure it's in your face that they support this. Hey, we are behind this cause. No, we're really behind this cause. We're really, 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 really behind this cause. To the point when they're not being themselves. They're being completely fake. And the best example of this is our politicians. And they took a knee in tribute to the death of George Floyd. Took a knee. And made sure the cameras were rolling. They had the perfect angles. Made sure that they sent this as many media places as possible. This way it went viral. Because, hey, we really need that Black vote this election year. And there's a lot of Black people who spoke out about this, saying this is a joke. But they even went a step further, where you saw Schumer Pelosi dress up in African kente cloth, right? Which it made sure was super bright so everyone could see it. But I'm going to let you in on something. A little history and culture here. So kente cloth comes from Ghana. In that country, bright colors are associated with times of celebration. So by wearing those bright clothes and kneeling, you were actually celebrating the death of George Floyd. You were cheering it. What you should have done is did a little homework on it and dress up in black and red. That's the type of cloth that's used to symbolize death, to honor death. But hey, I mean, who gives a shit? We're only talking about insulting someone's culture where this clothing has been associated with for over 400 years. Hey, way to mess that one up. But even better, I saw Pelosi, and this is not Democrats or Republicans aren't doing anything either. I mean, they're just sitting on the sidelines not doing anything, which is why they're probably going to lose this election. At least speak out or take a side. Don't do nothing. But yeah, Pelosi was holding a press conference about George Floyd. And this was a couple of days ago. This is June 26th. It's supposed to be about adding George Floyd's name to any new legislation that's going to be passed on racial injustice. In the press conference, this is the press conference she held. She said, it's already recommended to the Judiciary Committee and the Congressional Black Caucus that the only way this legislation gets passed, again, this is me quoting her here, if you tell me that this legislation is worthy of getting George Kirby's name on it. George Kirby. Who the fuck is George Kirby? It's George Floyd. You don't even know the name of the person. You don't even know the name of the person that you're kneeling with, that you're starting this movement and how, your party supports this. You don't even know the name. You got the name wrong. This is a couple of days ago. And this isn't like, oh, it just happened and maybe, okay, let's get all the facts because we really want to jump on this story because we needed these votes. But really? You don't know the guy's name? You're kneeling? We're enclosed. They have no idea what they symbolize. They symbolize celebration. You're supposed to be honoring George Floyd's death. I mean, look at our politicians. I mean, you talk about scum of the planet. I mean, they can do anything they can to get a vote. I mean, if you're black, you should know this. If you're white, you should know this. No matter what gender, you should know this. Whatever you are, you should know this. I mean, they're going to throw anyone under the bus to gain power. They don't care about racial injustice. They don't care about anyone. They don't care about the people who's going to vote for them. And you know what? It's not just our politicians. I mean, how many groups have used George Floyd as an excuse to further their agenda? And the violence, the looting, the chaos, Antifa, taking over neighborhoods in the United States. You're letting you take over neighborhoods? Are you crazy? Ripping down statues of people who actually helped free slaves and were against slavery. Yelling directly in the faces of police officers, most who risk their ass every day to make sure that you're safe. And they also have families and children that they support. But you're taking out the anger on every single police officer? Really? Every single one? And it doesn't even matter. It's not racial. It's black. It's white. If you have that uniform, you'd get abused out there. You yelled at, and they cannot fight back. You steal a cop's taser, you fight, you resist arrest, you still take a shoot at him, then the guy gets shot, and that guy goes, the cop goes, are you kidding me? And look at where the crime rates are here, guys. Look where they're going. It's insane, the numbers. You're looking at cops retiring early now. Who the hell wants to be a cop? Do you really want that? And if you do, look, I live in Florida. I grew up in New York. Guns are not legal in New York. In Florida, they are. I still don't own a gun. I'm thinking about getting a gun. I truly am. And I'm not a paranoid person. I'm not scared, but it's my family. What are you going to allow? And are we going to be able to call police where they're going to show up? Because these police forces are going to shrink tremendously in the face of rising crime in every state across the board, just about. It's pretty scary. But I just love how over the top we get. How everyone suddenly cares about racial injustice when so many of our politician corporations really couldn't give a fuck about George Floyd before this. In the end, what are they doing? They're reacting to polls. That's what politics is all about, is polls. Like the one taken by Edelman. This is a couple of years ago. Global Community, basically a firm that helps companies with their brand, promote their reputations, global communications company, right? Edelman, that's what they list themselves at. They polled showed 64% of consumers will reward firms which they see as engaged in some kind of activism, which we're seeing now. But even a more recent poll, and this is really serious, that's why you're seeing all these companies publicly come out and make sure that they're saying it to the masses where you're going to hear it. Because a recent poll shows 87% of Americans would purchase a product from a company that advocated for an issue they cared about, while, and this is the big while, 88% would boycott a company they thought behaved irresponsibly, which is the reason why everyone's throwing Facebook under the bus right now. It makes sense. And I'm not defending Facebook here. I'm just saying the companies that are throwing them under the bus they don't have the best reputations out there. I mean, come on. We can all agree on that. And those reputations result in them making tons of profit. So I'm not telling you to avoid those stocks because they're probably going higher because they get away with everything. It's fine. Those are the companies that donate the most money to our politicians. If you look at these companies, the massive settlements for racial injustice. Just love those public statements about suspending advertising with Facebook and all this. But, as a Black person, how do you not look at this and see complete bullshit where so many people want to use your movement, this important movement, for their benefit or to service their own agendas? And it's sad. It just shows how our country, America, losing direction, going through some pretty crazy times. And I hope it's just because it's an election year, and I hope it is going to stop no matter what party gets elected. But man, the shit that's going on right now, things that I never saw in my life. And I don't know if I could speak to someone who lived in the 60s and the 50s and stuff like that. But right now, holy cow, man. Everybody gets used for everything just to further their agenda. And it's right in front of your face. They don't even care. They don't even care.